So this is Ileana 60 years and back in the secret space programs resume of what I did in the programs. Originally, I had remembered 50 years through hypnosis regression and some shamanism techniques that I had learned while I was studying Native American shamanism. And that was a 2.5-year program where I learned past life regression and soul retrieval techniques. As well, I learned some more traditional hypnosis techniques, which I integrated into the Native American shamanic teachings. And when I incorporated those two together, I was able to start remembering my SSP memories in late 2014. So this was one of the first sets of things that I remembered. And the cover title page for this presentation is of a woman standing on a rocky type cliff looking out into the ocean towards a base or a city. And the woman is wearing an environmental suit or a space suit. And she's just landed on a newly explored planet that has a base built there. So that is symbolic to me of the secret space programs, their journeys in space exploration, because that's what these programs do. They explore space and colonize new planets. And I have two quotes here that I would like to mention. The first one is taking your first steps to the far-reaching stars, and that's space exploration. And the second quote is, these are new journeys going beyond known limits, because the space programs go beyond known limits or logic. They go beyond those two. Known limits and logic. It goes into outer space. It goes into secrecy. It goes into everything that is beyond current limitations on this planet Earth. Because it's new frontiers, basically. And there are different factions of the secret space program groups. There's Earth Alliance, Earth Defense Force, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, there's also the Notched Waffen, Dark Fleet, Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, Time Corporations, and Solar Warden and Mars Defense Force are the ones that closely protect Mars and Earth from various species that are hostile in nature, perhaps. Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate develops the advanced technologies, as it always has. So there's many different faction groups. There's also the secretive shadow governments. And these groups either have contracted service agents, or they have kidnapped or abducted assets in the programs that are not willingly there. Linguistic specialist, 14 years. Deciphered and translated different alien languages as well as code matrices in order to make sense of new ET languages from species visiting the Milky Way galaxy for the first time. Acted as a universal language translator at various Super Federation and Confederation ET meetings. Had language translator etheric implants inserted into the brain. Since there was a natural disposition for learning languages, the implants amplified the ability in order to be able to quickly translate any type of language into another language or English as needed in the meetings. Could tap energetically into any type of technology and access language database repositories, adding new information in about language subtext for writing or classifying language codes so they could not be hacked in the databases. Sometimes was required to have physical genetic alterations done in order to look like various humanoid ET species while attending Federation and Confederation meetings. Some ET species do not respect or even want humans attending the secret space program meetings and negotiations, so the language translators had to take on the close appearance of looking like the ET species in order to have access to the meetings and information being translated in the various languages. Afterward, when the meetings or negotiations were over, the genetic alterations would be removed from the linguistic specialist's human DNA and they would look like themselves again. Information specialist, 16 years. As an intuitive empath and remote viewer, was able to do classified data gathering as well as informational research for the various levels of the departments in the secret space programs. Visited the space program facilities in bases on Earth as well as other planets like Mars, etc., to make sure proper security measures were in place so sensitive data could not be hacked or breached for unauthorized data dump releases in the mass media or on the internet. Worked on creating matrix sequence codes in order to classify information for specific military personnel access, only in terms of permission levels and the type of information that could be viewed by the lower and higher level employee personnel. Did data entry of mission records, personnel profiles, planetary galaxy telemetry information, and also routed messages or transmissions from the bases to off-world ships that non-terrestrial personnel were assigned to on missions. Now, I remember when I was on the interplanetary corporate conglomerate basis on Mars that I had been loaned out to their ICC space orbital platforms that are manned by crews. And these Mars ICC space platforms are cloaked. They're cloaked space stations that orbit in between Mars space and Earth space. And there's 4 of these space orbital space platforms. And they have hyperdrive engines so they can be moved for different orbital purposes. They can be moved from near one planet to another to orbit the planet, or even be in between orbits. They can actually move about in space. So that's something I remember clearly. There are about 52 clearance levels of classification in the secret space programs, sometimes even more. The data analyst had level 18 to 36 privileges in terms of having access to classified information. Information specialist, 16 years, had access to the data glass pads, which are an equivalent to the tablet pads out currently on the Earth market. However, the glass pads are made of bendable and foldable plexiglass type technology, which can shrink down to different sizes so it can become small for portability advantages. While being stationed at various technology labs and informational centers in the secret space program facilities, there was access provided to holographic computer technology that had the glass screens for computers instead of the regular LCD or LED monitors that are used in Earth businesses. The glass holographic screens could slide down into the working stations, and when a button would be pressed, the screens would slide out again. While being an informational specialist in the secret space programs, there were times where the data analyst needed to be present during ET or even human interrogations of subjects. When persuasion tactics or the truth serum drugs would not work on individuals to extract informational data, then pain measures would be administered to subjects in order to acquire information properly. Most humanoid ET species do not like pain and cannot stand experiencing it. The ETs don't like to experience electrocution in particularly, so they don't like to be poked with electrical prods that have like 10 million watts of electricity whooshing in or zooming in through the ET species, because we all have electromagnetic frequencies and energies in our body. So, and if that electromagnetic frequency is interrupted, we can have neurological problems or brain damage. That can happen to ETs as well. So they don't like electricity in particular. They just don't. Sometimes blackmail tactics would be implemented as needed. The data analyst had sensitive or embarrassing information on key governmental, political, or military figures. The information would be used to expose these individuals if they did not cooperate in certain initiatives being implemented by either the secret space programs or the shadow Earth governments. Information Specialist, 16 years. The transparent touchscreen displays can receive input and display content on either side of the screen for two-way interaction, acting as communication mainframes as well as various holographic computer terminals, etc. These trans-wall screens are made up of two sheets of plexiglass with a clear holographic film. When not in use, the screen turns into a transparent glass. The trans-wall screens are activated either with the push of a button or the wave of a hand and can act as a television screen. Information Specialist, 16 years. SSP data analysts often have holographic computers and touchscreen displays in their personal quarters when they are stationed either on Mars bases or on ships. Often the data analysts are assigned to work on sensitive informational tasks that would require them to work alone and in isolation, so they would stay working in their quarters. The work hours analyzing and collating data to be entered into the data center databases on the Mars bases often takes a long time to do, as the work can be complex as well as classified. Informational Specialist, 16 years. There are children on the Mars colonies that are taught from a young age how to use holographic technology. These children are under constant guard by the colony military personnel, so the children cannot freely walk around the colony perimeters. There are SSP assets or service contract agents on the Mars bases or on the Mars colonies that have been on the planet for a very long time, so they have children. And the children are taught at a young age to use technology, because these children can be future assets and commodities of the secret space program groups. So that's why they're closely guarded. And Mars still has hostile environments where there are sandstorms or electromagnetic storms. So it could be dangerous to walk around outside at times, or the atmosphere is too low, not enough oxygen in certain parts of the planet. There's also different territories on Mars that are owned by different various species, like reptilians, mantids, spider species, insectoids, raptoids. So, and it can be dangerous for children to be wandering around outside the colony or base perimeters, because sometimes the SSP groups will encroach on the ET's territory and try to take it over. And these other species resent this intrusion, so they will act. And it's not good to have children running around during, altercations between different species and human colonists. So that's why The children are guarded. And again, there's many different groups of the SSP. Solar Warden, Mars Defense Force, Earth Alliance, Earth Defense Force, Notch Lofton, Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, the Time Corporations, and all of these different groups have their own protocols. And while on the ICC Mars bases, I had noticed that they had the symbols of eagles, the Austrian eagle breaking the chains and the iron German eagle, which were indicators that during the 1920s to 1940s, 50s, the Third and the Fourth German Reich had colonized Mars with their own bases originally. Then the US joined in, and other countries like Russia, Israel, Canada, Australia, England. And they do have multicultural interactions on the ICC bases, so it's not just Germans. It's Canadians, Americans, and other countries. It's become multicultural assets on the bases. So it's not just one set group, cultural group. Certainly the Germans still have their bases where it's just Germans, but Solar Warden and ICC bases are multicultural, basically. Aeronautical Specialist, 20 years. This was the Science and Technology Lab where the schematics were created for building the advanced aeronautical technology that is described in the next section on the right of this slide. Most of the technology is built off-world, either on Mars, the Moon, or other planetary colonies in the solar system. Built Neuralink implants, nanomachine interface communication technology for the different types of stealth spaceships, space fighter jets, space stations, and bases on the Moon and Mars. Some SSP assets had Neuralink implants in their brains that could interface with ship navigation systems, life support, holographic computers, etc. The aeronautical specialist would manufacture the neurological mind-to-ship interface systems so the Neuralink implants could connect with the ship technology. This technology was built for the Solar Warden program, other secret space fleets, and the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. Now, Solar Warden and the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, manufactures ship components for the Solar Warden ships, because Solar Warden and also Mars Defense Force, they're the programs that are security and patrols. They protect the Mars colonists and Earth from invasions by hostile species. So alien species or extraterrestrial species. So Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate provides the advanced technology, especially for building ships for Solar Warden and Mars Defense Force. Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate are the main contractors for doing this. And Neuralink technology and other things. Because Solar Warden and Mars Defense Force are critical for planetary defense. Mars, Earth, and the various moons in our solar system and other planets that are colonized by human breakaway civilizations. Aeronautical Specialist, 20 years. While serving in the secret space programs, these were the following things that were seen. Human-built bases on the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Uranus, and Pluto. These bases are sometimes built in dome shapes, either on the surface of planets or in the inner parts of planets underground. The bases and trading ports are built from almost non-destructible and reusable alloy materials that can last for hundreds of years without being damaged by natural or man-made causes. Cloaked space stations orbiting close to Jupiter, Mars, and even Earth Most of these space stations are either used for negotiation or trading for goods and services type meetings. Human colony cities on Mars, Moon, and other habitable planets or moons in the Milky Way galaxy and other galaxies outside the solar system. Seeing the building of fighter jets and spaceships powered by plasma core engines, warp drives, or crystal engines that utilize slipstream technology to travel out in space beyond the speed of light. Aeronautical specialist 20 years. So on the left-hand side, top, there's the silver fighter cruiser, and that belongs to the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. It is their space fighter cruiser, and it goes beyond the speed of light with propulsion hyperdrives. On the top right-hand side, the white ship is Solar Warden Patrol Scout Ship. It has hyperdrive warp engines, and on the bottom in the middle is the Mars Defense Force fighter jet, and it has anti-gravity propulsion. Aeronautical specialist, 20 years. The facilities on the moon were round-shaped domes joined together by long corridors. These facilities were grayish-white, and there were clusters of them. The round dome facilities have about 38 levels in the first 3 domes with labs, offices, meeting conference rooms, medical bays, living quarters, and leisure green spaces. The underground facilities under the domes have military bases. Aeronautical specialist, 20 years. These are the types of lab facilities, ship rooms, and living accommodations that were seen by the aeronautical specialist while serving on multiple assignments or missions while in the secret space programs. Sometimes the stationed assignments were terrestrial on planets, and at other occasions the missions were non-terrestrial on different spaceships or space stations. The assignments or missions could range in the tour of duty for a couple of weeks to 6 months or even years at a time, depending on the nature of the work that was being done. Classified missions would usually take longer to complete than more temporary assignments. And again, these missions or assignments could be through contract service, or it could be done through the abducted or kidnapped assets who were taken unwillingly and had no idea what they were signing up for. As the contract work, that is more, you are more willing in what you're signing up for. The 20 and back or the 60 and back, that happens either for that 20 or 60 years, or there's breaks where you're returned back to Earth and taken again for the 20 and back or 60 and back. So it could be done in the long span of time, or it could be cut in various time groupings. So it's not all done all at once. Cybernetics lab technician, 10 years. The Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate has various ICC bases on Mars to which are attached cybernetic labs. These labs take kidnapped humans and splice the body parts with cybernetic technology, creating living human cyborgs. This type of procedure is called transhumanism. Human souls can be extracted from individuals and put into other bodies. This is called the AI soul catcher technology, which holds an individual's soul in an electromagnetic field stasis container or holder until the soul is ready to be transferred elsewhere. As well, clones are created from the original human's DNA, where memory fragments are imprinted to the clone's brain to carry out SSP missions. The cybernetic lab technicians are responsible for doing quality control checks, for checking for testing and checking body parts, tissue organs, or bodily fluids to make sure the living matter is viable to be fused with cybernetic technological components when the cyborgs are being made. Now, I had seen all of this being done in the cybernetic labs. I had seen women, naked women, being chained on hooks, hanging off the ceiling on chains and hooks while they were bleeding. So I had seen bodies of humans hanging on chains and hooks from ceilings of these cybernetic labs, and I call them meat labs on Mars. And these bodies could hang for days or hours while the cybernetic technology is being prepped to be fused with the body parts. So this is gruesome and horrific. And it's done on the Mars ICC labs that are attached to the Mars bases. So this violates all human rights. There's basically lawlessness out there on Mars. There's no human tribunals to police any of this stuff from happening. It just happens. There's no control over it. They're basically running around doing whatever they want in these labs. And AI is a huge component of it because it's cybernetic stuff. Cybernetic advanced technology that's used with humans to make cyborgs that become either scouts or soldiers with advanced psychic abilities. Cybernetics lab, technician 10 years. There are mind wipe devices called neuralizers which attach to the head with electrodes that then send electrical pulse frequency waves to the brain to create memory erasure in an individual. This can create temporary or permanent amnesia of memory loss. Specific parts of the brain can be targeted to either erase short-term memory or long-term memory patterns. An SSP Assets personality can be erased or altered completely during the electronic mind wipe procedure. As well, a new set of memories can be implanted where the old ones were erased in the brain. The neuralizer is capable of delivering either brainwashing or mind control protocols to the asset's brain based on the programming provided by the individual doing the mind wiping procedure. Medical facilities and secret space programs. The secret space programs have medical facilities with machines that can repair the human genome, curing diseases like cancers and other neurological or brain dysfunctions. There are holographic medical pods and portable Meditech units, which are healing technology that can regenerate or reconstruct missing body parts, grow organs, revive people from being dead, etc. As well, there is technology that can heal memories or experiences of traumatic events which can happen during missions. One of the advanced medical technologies is doing age regression, so individuals are returned to being young again, to their original age before they signed up to serve in the secret space programs. So the people no longer look old when their service contract is finished. Or in the case of unwilling assets that were kidnapped or abducted, they're still age regressed as well, and they're returned to the 0 point in time to looking young again. And I think there's time technology involved in reversing the age process and the mind wipes and the blank slating. I think there's time travel technology involved in this because there are time corporations that are in charge of the time travel technology, the quantum leap technology that's given to the various secret space program groups and factions. So I think time is altered in order to return somebody back to 0 point of when they were taken to be assets in the SSP, either as children or teenagers or grown-ups. I think the secret space programs mainly take assets in when they're 16 or 18 and to work for the secret space programs, but sometimes children are involved and even adults, and it could be recurrent abductions. So it might not just be once. It might be other selective missions. After they've been returned from being assets in the secret space programs, they're taken again. If they fit for a mission, if they're suited for something, they'll be re-abducted and taken again and blank slated, so they can't remember anything. Sometimes age regressed as well, depending how long they were out in space. If they were out for years at a time. SSP assets receive battle-ready training. Both female and male SSP assets are typically given battle-ready training, so they have basic self-defense knowledge of how to protect themselves in hostile environments like Mars, for example, where there are reptilian spider and mantis species which are not always friendly to human colonists. Battle-ready training includes being able to handle firearms like lasers, phasers, rail plasma rifles, guns, swords, throwing knives, battle axes, etc. Assassins are also trained in lethal physical hand-to-hand combat, psychic mind attacks, as well as mind control warfare, where targeted individuals can be killed with a directed psionic thought strike. And I, as an SSP ICC asset, had battle-ready training and was also trained as a lethal assassin. That was part of the training that I had. And I have various firearms weapons. Guns, semi-automatic rifles, swords, knives. I have all that training. And it comes naturally. It came naturally in the training process, because that's the training I had off-world, and I retained memories of that training in my Earth life in my late 20s. So the way I regain my memories usually is through shamanic techniques and some hypnosis regression. I combine the two to make a hybrid technique where I sit for hours sifting through my memories to figure out what it is. And I don't write it down in a journal. I type it all out on a computer in a PowerPoint presentation and Word document, and then I convert it into videos that are voice narrated or have music to them. And I always put in images to represent the likenesses of my write-ups, of what I experienced, what I went through in the secret space programs. So it's not just me talking here or just reading the write-up. There's images included that I find from the internet of what my memories and experiences look like, because I'm a very visual person. So I always have visuals with write-ups, and I don't research anything on the internet in regards to my own memories. I only include the stuff that's mine from my memories of event recall of what happened to me in the SSP. I don't want to be influenced or compromised by outside data from the internet in regards to other SSP experiencers or insiders in what they went through. I don't want to be compared to them, and I don't compare myself and my information to them. What I write here and what I narrate right now, voiceover, is purely my data from my memory recall, using shamanic techniques and hypnosis combined together through soul regression, retrieval, past life regression. That is where my techniques come from to get this information, through studying years and years of Native American shamanism and a little bit of hypnosis on my own. As well, I've done quantum healing hypnosis. I've gone to a practitioner who was trained by Dolores Cannon and certified. So some of the information is from there as well that I've incorporated in this presentation, but mostly it's through hours and hours of meditation, and in sifting through all these memories and events of being in the secret space program, particularly interplanetary corporate conglomerate, and putting it in these presentations, which I edit and re-edit to make sure I have things right and correctly in terms of what happened and why, because I like to be thorough. So this is very time consuming and important to me. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes weeks to do these presentations and then to publish it to YouTube, to Facebook, and as a PDF file on my own website, because I like to provide video and also the write-ups for it. So that's how I do my work in terms of memory regression. Through past life regression exploration, through soul retrieval, through shamanic journeys, through astral travel. That's how I mainly get my memories back, and through forms of various hypnosis. And also talking to my higher self. I am in tune with my higher self, and that's how memory recall often happens as well. I also have a photographic memory, so I'm able to recall things easily of what has happened to me in my life. And so I can do this memory recall more easier. It's just easier that way. If you have photographic memory or eidetic memory, you remember things well, and you're able to put it down in terms of visuals and write-ups of whatever happened to you in your life. So I'm just lucky that way that I have that ability, and that I'm able to recall these memories and talk about it in videos, in podcasts, and make these presentations and to post them. This is how I provide an archive, a historical archive of what has happened to me in these programs, and make it available and out there, and I don't charge for it. It's free of charge. It's just a historical archival record of a secret space program experiencer's testimony of what they remember that has happened to them. So thank you and namaste. Disclosure about the secret space programs and the Dark Fleet. Not waffen reger. The images in this presentation come from the internet, from video games like Mass Effect and other resources that promote disclosure, which is hidden in plain sight to see. Most of this disclosure showcases various groups of the secret space programs and how they operate. Human moon bases and colonies. This is approximately what the Lunar Operations Command, LOC, now known as Lunar Space Operations, LSP, base looks like on the moon that the highest tier of the secret space program is in charge of. The base is made up of polymer non-destructible, biodegradable materials and shield reflective plexiglass windows. Now, Lunar Space Operations has multiple bases on the moon, as well as on other planets in the solar system that's been recently discovered through hypnosis sessions. As well, there are dome cities on the moon with human colonies. These cities have a sustainable atmosphere and gravity, so human populations can live in them for prolonged periods of time. Originally, there had been domed cities built on the moon by the ancient builder races, and the SSP reverse engineered the architecture of these cities in order to build their own bases, as well as livable habitat colonies. On the moon, Mars, and other planets in our solar system and beyond. On the left-hand side is the SSP Alliance Martian Dome Cities. This is a dome city that is made of non-breakable plexiglass polymer materials and various bioalloys that are mined throughout the solar system. There are Range Rovers, which take workers and passengers between the SSP bases and cities to complete work detail or research projects. On the right-hand side are the hydroponic and aquaponics gardens. The SSP programs grow hydroponic and aquaponics gardens that do not require soil in order for plants and vegetation to grow successfully. There are special irrigation methods that allow for this to be done. Hydroponic and aquaponics gardens. Martian hydroponics and aquaponics crews planting vegetables, plants, and food in the newly constructed gardens. Hydroponic and aquaponics facilities. Fully functioning gardens growing hydroponics and aquaponics produce on Mars. This is the basis for learning how bio-living plants grow in harsh environments. Hydroponics city garden on Mars. Hydroponics gardening is a subset of hydroculture and is a method of growing plants using mineral nutrient solutions in water without the use of soil. Terrestrial plants may be grown with their roots in the mineral solution only or in an inert medium such as perlite, gravel, sand, etc. The nutrients in hydroponics can be from fresh waste, organic fertilizer, normal nutrients, or from duck manure. Prototype dome for park space. This is a prototype biodome for building park green spaces in the Martian cities. It is important to have green spaces on planetary colonies as they provide breathable oxygen and also places where individuals can go to relax as well as socialize with each other when they are not working. Eventually, when Mars is fully terraformed, there will be a complete atmosphere, so parks and forests will not need to be growing inside biodomes, and oceans as well as lakes will naturally form on the planet. The secret space programs have already begun to terraform Mars, to build out a full atmosphere, and to also creating these various biodomes with different types of plant life, animals, etc., to eventually not need the biodomes. So Mars could be a self-sustainable planet with an Earth-type atmosphere and to eventually be like an Earth, except it's Mars. Through recent hypnosis sessions, I have discovered that there might not be an SSP alliance per se. So I'm trying to make that clear right now because this presentation had been done earlier, several years ago. So just for clarification, SSP Alliance Martian rovers. On the left-hand side is a transportation rover with people wearing slim space suits, which are smart suits. And on the top image is a heavy-duty terrain rover designed for mining expeditions and for transporting building materials across Mars from base to base and research facilities. The mining and building crews wear heavy-duty suits to protect them from the Martian outdoor weather elements, sandstorms, and solar space storms. SSP Mars Settlement Stations. The first SSP Mars settlement stations were made up of a few buildings and biodomes before special polymer materials were created to build bases, cities, etc. as well as using mining deposits on Mars for stronger building alloys. SSP Alliance Martian Trading City Base. This is one of the SSP Martian Trading City bases where most of the ships that come from the LOC, now called the LSP, land first to pick up supplies and go on their way after checking in at port docking. SSP Alliance Martian Pod Housing. Some of the SSP research teams live in dome pod houses on Mars when they are studying the planet's ecology out in the field. SSP Alliance Martian Base. This is an SSP Alliance base on Mars. It is mostly research and development that happens here to figure out how to terraform Mars. The secret space programs started building bases on Mars in the 1950s and have created stable infrastructures throughout the years. These bases are successful, and once it was known that it was structurally feasible to have buildings on Mars, then city dome colonies were built on the planet. Landing and launching space pads. These are the landing and launching spaceport pads where ships land and leave from when they visit the Martian bases. Spaceport Air Traffic Control. The SSP Spaceport Air Traffic Control monitors where ships land on the Martian bases, as well as keeping schedules for incoming and outgoing air traffic over the various Mars bases, cities, research facilities, etc. Martian colony homes. These are what the Martian colony homes look like inside the domed cities. Families have larger homes than single individuals who are not married or have kids. The houses are made of durable polymer, non-destructible materials in order to be able to withstand the sand and solar storms on Mars. Interior of a Martian home. The interiors of Martian homes have a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, small office space, and 2 bathrooms for each home design. Houses are made of portable materials and can be deconstructed and moved to different locations in cities that are protected by the domes. Often houses will also have portable gardens that are part of the house attachment inside the property, because there are importances in having spaces inside the home which are dedicated to green space, to growing food, to growing vegetables, because outside the areas are mostly all used for city life and stuff inside the domes. These domes can be huge or they could be smaller sized domes. So all space is important inside the home. It's all used in a functional way for sleeping arrangements, for eating, for leisurely activities, for a small garden inside the home. It's very important for growing your own food and being self-sustainable at each property. Slim skin-tight spacesuits. These are the slim skin-tight spacesuits that individuals on Mars wear when they are out exploring the surface of Mars, going between the different bases and city colonies on the planet. These slim skin-tight spacesuits are otherwise also called smart suits or environmental suits. Combat armor. Since the atmosphere on Mars is very thin, smart spacesuits and combat armor are worn when patrolling the boundaries of bases and cities on protection detail or mission reconnaissance. Phaser weapons. Phaser weapons are used that utilize laser fire instead of firearms with bullets or physical projectiles. Phaser weapons have features like stun and also the kill setting. However, the phaser weapons technology does not make use of bullets, as those do not have stun settings and therefore can damage combat armor or space suits, killing unnecessarily. Alien bases and ruins on Mars. There are ancient alien underground bases, research facilities, and ruins of cities, as well as other structures like pyramids on Mars, as well as ancient domes. Only scientists are allowed to research these alien bases, and military personnel accompany the scientists when they go on their research expeditions to the ancient bases and cities. There are species of some reptilians, original human colonists, insectoids, and ant species living on Mars, as well as having the secret space program bases, colonies, and cities. Planetary corporations and interplanetary corporate conglomerate bases, ICC. The ICC bases on Mars are built differently than the SSP bases. The ICC bases are steel reinforced, and some of them are tubular shaped. These are research and R&D installations that build advanced technology to trade with other ET races. There are all types of medical labs, R&D, manufacturing plants, weapon munitions, bunkers, and intelligence gathering facilities on the ICC bases. And the weapon munitions bunkers, they store plasma cannon weapons, various laser weapons, phaser weapons, those types of things, as well as plasma rail guns that are experimental, various laser antennae, and other types of energy-based beam weaponry. That's what they store in these weapon munition bunkers. They don't just store regular weapons. All kinds of laser platforms, phaser platforms, cannons, and it's all energy-based beam weaponry that they have. Stasis holding chambers. The ICC hold prisoners of war in cryosleeping fluidic chambers, as well if there is brainwashing, mind control manipulation, or brain wiping, blank slating of memories being done, then these fluidic chambers are used for those purposes. These chambers also have the capability of creating torture scenarios for the individuals being held in the chambers. The fluidic drugs or drug serums in the chambers can create the torture imagery, which feels very real to the subjects. So it feels and looks very real, but it's holographically induced, very holographic in nature, but not computerized. It's done with drug serums. Also, subliminal messages can be planted in the brain to create fake memories instead of real ones. An individual coming out from a fluidic chamber after false memories being implanted onto their brain. So they literally now have holographic inserts of memories that are not their own or that are very fake. So they do not remember what happened on one of their ICC secret missions. Temporary stasis. Sometimes the fluidic chambers are used to temporarily hold ICC operatives or assets in order to give them subliminal programming orders, as well as information for mission protocols and parameters before they are sent out to do field work on their assigned projects. The subjects have no memories or recall of ever being in these fluidic chambers. Now, some assets who have advanced psychic abilities, memory recall, photographic or eidetic memory, it's harder to blank slate or wipe their memories from their brains. So they actually remember sequences of events from memory recall or from hypnosis. It's easier for them to remember because the blank slating or mind wiping doesn't last on them for very long. And within like 10, 15 years, they have memory recall of what happened to them in the secret space program factions or groups. Electromagnetic chamber. This is an electromagnetic prisoner holding chamber which the ICC uses in order to interrogate ET prisoners and ICC defectors. So basically, what happens in this chamber is like there's an electromagnetic field that literally suspends you up and you're hanging there in the chamber, and they can send electric shock waves into your body as an incentive for you to provide information for the interrogators. So this can happen to ET prisoners, ICC defectors, or anybody else that they want to question. So basically, you're, like I was saying, you're just hanging there suspended in an electromagnetic stasis field, and you have no way of getting out from the chamber. So you're stuck in it and you're just hanging there suspended until you tell them what they want to know, whether that's physically telling them or even psychically. And that can happen to the ETs or to humans. If an individual falsely answers questions, lies, or omits the truth, they experience having an electric shock blast surge hit their nervous system. This creates a very painful sensation to both the mind and the body, so subjects are more inclined to talk after experiencing this process multiple times if they are lying during an interrogation session. And extraterrestrials in particular do not like having electrical shock to their bodily systems. Some of them don't take pain so well and can't process the electricity going through their body, and that interferes with their thinking processes. And for humans as well. Cyborg Experiment Labs. The ICC has cybernetic experimentation labs on its Mars bases. Living humans are used against their will because they're kidnapped. They're used as test subjects with combining cybernetic technology with human body parts. After this has been done, other subjects are used to have their memory engrams transferred to the built cyborg bodies. This is done to see how successful virtual memory implantation of memory engrams can be accomplished in a semi-cybernetic biological being. The process is called transhumanism. Smart spacesuits. The planetary corporations and interplanetary corporate conglomerate specializes in building advanced smart spacesuits, which allow the wearer to adapt to different environmental temperatures, so they are not hot or cold. Bodily waste fluids are recycled. So basically, while you're wearing the smart suit, you actually don't go to the bathroom. Somehow, because the smart suit has nanotechnology, nanites, woven into the suit itself, so it can change the molecular structure of your body so you don't create bodily waste while you're wearing the smart suit. So that's what I mean by bodily waste fluids are recycled, because somehow in your body, the structure of how waste is made, because it's supposed to come out of your body, it doesn't. So somehow it's changed on a molecular level, so you don't have to physically go to the bathroom while wearing the smart suit, and there's no repercussions of you having a bathroom accident and of you not being in pain. Somehow your molecular structure is changed while wearing the smart suit. So you're not constipated, you're not in pain. You don't physically have to go to the bathroom in bodily waste coming out. You don't have to do that while wearing the smart suit, and there's no health, physical pain, or repercussions while wearing the smart suit. And when you do take off the smart suit, you go to the bathroom as regular as you always do usually. These suits also act as camouflage shields so the wearer can become invisible, and also bullet and laser fire is deflected from the suit's electromagnetic energy field, so the individual wearing the suit cannot be injured during battle. And these smart suits, they also can mimic clothing. While you're wearing the smart suit, it could look like a dress, it could look like any type of clothing. It also has the capability of levitation, the smart suit, because it has consciousness thought-assisted technology in it, because of the nanotechnology in the suit. So basically, when you put on the helmet, you can levitate the suit, the smart suit, with your thoughts psychically, give the suit programming. It could take you into space, so you no longer need a ship or a craft. You can also teleport with the suit from one location to another, on planet or somewhere off planet to another planet. The smart suit has healing abilities, so if you injure your leg, you sprain it, or you get a horrible cut in your skin, the smart suit releases certain type of drug serums to help heal you, or nutritional supplements, whatever you need to stay healthy. The smart suit temporarily can provide that for you. Regulate your emotions, your various hormonal balances, etc. in your body. So it just balances all that out so you're healthy while wearing the smart suit. ICC Mars Orbital Stations. The ICC has 4 Mars Orbital Defense and Communications space station platforms, which monitor space traffic between Mars and Earth, as well as teleportation activities from the various Star Gateway portals between other planets in the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy. ICC orbital space platforms are usually cloaked so they cannot be picked up by radar, telescopes, or satellites in space. These 4 space station orbital platforms also act as advanced satellite arrays, which send out classified communications to various SSP and ICC space fleets, bases, and colonies that are located throughout the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy. Building fleet ships for the Dark Fleet, also known as Nachtwaffenregier in German and Spanish. The ICC builds advanced motherships for the Dark Fleet and also trades with other civilizations for providing them with starship technology, as well as medical serums, trading routes and rights to other planets, and building out bases, etc., in exchange for workforce labor and favors. ICC ship technology has reinforced non-penetration shielding and cannon plasma blast weaponry, which is capable of destroying cities on planets. As well, the cannon plasma weapons can also destroy planets. That's why they're otherwise called the planet killers or planetary body destroyers. Planetary terraforming technology. ICC has terraforming technology that sends a neo-laser blast beam of protons or nuclide peptides to planets so they can be transformed, having living plant life, oxygen, atmosphere, oceans, etc. The neoblast also sends bioliving matter, peptides, which helps to create biological life on planets or planetary bodies as well as moons, as an example. An ICC stealth cruiser ship which can travel beyond the speed of light, capable of planet-to-planet travel within 10 minutes or half an hour, sometimes longer, depending on how far apart the planets are in the solar system. It may take several hours to travel to other solar systems and maybe months if traveling to a different galaxy. A spacecraft that has time dilation technology on it to be able to activate portals and wormholes in order to do time travel. Now, this time dilation technology does have protective shielded buffers on it, so you can't just activate the time dilation devices on the ship without having access codes to the technology. It's acts as a protective measure, so you don't just go time traveling wherever you want to go and whenever you want to go just because you want to, or change timelines because you don't like something that happened in history. So there are protective measures set up so you don't do that. You have to have access codes enabled in order to be able to time travel, to activate the time dilation technology on the ship. And the buffers are there to make sure you don't accidentally set something off and get lost in a timeline, or you don't do something that's nefarious for time travel. So only certain people on the crew personnel have access to activate the time dilation technology on the ship. That's why the buffers are there to protect the ship and the people on it, so they don't time travel unless it's been authorized to do so. And if somebody else takes over the ship, like space pirates or terrorists, they won't have access to the time dilation technology because it has buffers on it. They don't have the access codes, so they can't use the technology. Mining operations, SSP and ICC. The SSP and the ICC do various mining operations in the Kuiper Belt, where there are asteroids with deposits of gold, silver, platinum, uranium, etc. There are also places in the solar system where crystal minerals are mined in order to create fusion technology to power ships and cities for the SSP and ICC space colonies, which are located on moons, space stations, and planets in the Milky Way galaxy and Andromeda galaxy, as well as further out beyond these galaxies or solar systems. There are ICC bases on some asteroids. Secret Space Program Alliance and ICC ships. Through some of the recent hypnosis sessions, I've discovered that there may not be a Secret Space Program Alliance at all, so please keep that in mind. The SSP and ICC has ships which are research vessels, transportation cruisers, cargo ships, battleships, intelligence gathering and exploration spaceships. SSP ICC vessels and ships come in all different sizes, forms, some small and others can be mid-sized or as big as planets depending on the purpose of the ships. And none of the secret space programs are here to help us, to rescue us, to better us as a species. They're not saviors. They're all out for themselves to protect their own interests, agendas, and property on the moon, Mars, and elsewhere in the solar system, the galaxy, and outside even our galaxy. So these programs are ruthless. That's why I don't think there's a secret space program alliance. There's a bunch of secret space program factions and groups that are mercenary, that are predatory, and they look out for their own best interests. And it is in their own interest to keep the secrecy going, to not have full disclosure, because they have a lot of different assets and And they've built out their own bases, colonies, cities, and research facilities that they want to protect. That's their assets. They don't want that coming out into the public in full disclosure. They want to keep their activities secret out in space because there's no type of any oversight for the rights and freedoms of humans or extraterrestrials at all in these programs. They're very mercenary and predatory and military-like, these programs. And some of them are military, and some of them hold civilians on their bases. So these programs are not glamorous. They're not video games. It's real life being played out. Sometimes through time travel, quantum leap, time dilation, time travel projects. The 60 and back, the 20 and back, the 40 and back. That's done through time travel dilation. It's possible. So these programs are not romantic. You don't want to actually sign up to serve in these secret space programs. They're lethal. They create trauma, they create pain, they create horror, they create trouble for people who've been kidnapped or abducted and put in these programs to serve as secret space program assets. There's nothing glamorous about these programs, and I wouldn't voluntarily sign up for these programs because I know what I know. And a lot of innocents have been lost out in space to these programs and never returned back home, actually. Or if they were returned, they were very broken, traumatized, had a lot of health issues, social issues, emotional trauma, physical injuries and trauma. And there's no explanations for why you are the way you are because of these programs, because there's no physical evidence to back up what happened to you, to prove you were in these programs. It can't be legitimized. It can't be vetted. There are signs of something happened to you, of something happening to you, of abduction. The pain, the trauma, the mental health and physical health being poor, those are some signs. Sometimes craft following you around, those are other signs. You can take photos. And that's some proof, but it's not complete validation of offering a logical scientific explanation for what happened to you out in space, of proving it. People ask for proof. Where are your photographs? Where are your images? We don't have any. We have our memory recall. That's accessed through hypnosis or other means. That's what we have in our own descriptions. That's the only proof we have. You're not allowed to take pictures or video of what you do up in space in these programs. That's forbidden. That's classified. And that's why these programs are called secret space programs or black ops programs and missions, etc., etc. You're not allowed to take evidence back home in photographs and videos and technology that they're using in various devices. You can't take that with you. You're blank slated and you're sent home back in time through time dilation technology. You're sent back. That's it. You're out of the programs. You don't have access to the holographic medical pods for healing. You don't have access to the nice technological advanced devices or ships. You're out. Or sometimes they take you back in again on temporary missions, but you don't get to keep anything from these programs. You're lucky if you get to keep your sanity and yourself and you come back alive. You're lucky if you get that, at least. Secret Space Program Alliance and ICC ships. Now again, I don't really think the Secret Space Program Alliance even exists at this point, or if it does, it's very nefarious and very unscrupulous as well. The SSP ICC ships have fusion warp drive engines that utilize the zero-point energy fields and torsion frequencies of quantum mechanics to power the warp drives so they can travel at the speed of light and beyond the speed of light. Some of the warp drives are crystalline based and are powered by crystal modules in the engines. Other ships have plasma engines. Those are the long-distance exploration vessels that are located deep in outer space, and at this point, they have discontinued the use of plasma cores for space travel because plasma can be very unpredictable and volatile if it's used in the wrong way, if it's modulated in the wrong way for a plasma core, or for engines for that matter, so it can be very unstable. So that's not a very popular source of powering ships anymore. There's better technology now available, like the crystalline-based technologies implemented on ship drives and warp drives, etc. Star Cartography Science Lab. The SSP and ICC ships have star cartography science labs on exploration or reconnaissance vessels, which record and map star coordinates, mapping areas of solar systems and galaxies. Staff in the star cartography labs create holographic digital maps of newly explored space, as well as keeping logs of previously charted space documentation. Holographic cartography imaging. All the star cartography maps and records are holographic digital imaging files that are stored on various microcomputer and supercomputer databases within the cartography lab's virtual libraries. These space maps and records are encrypted by secure firewalls in the source of the microcomputers and supercomputers, so they cannot be hacked, as this is classified non-terrestrial information. Computer navigation stations. Most of the SSP and the ICC ships have 2 bridge decks and various navigation stations throughout the ship. Computer access is granted based on encryption rank classification, so there are different levels of classified or declassified information that can be viewed by ship personnel based on their access codes and permissions. Computer systems. SSP and ICC ships have holographic computer system interfaces that are virtually connected to all of the ship's systems, as well as the ship personnel Neuralink implants or microchip implants that are in their brains. The computers are smart pad glass technology with holographic digital imaging screens or interfaces, which retract and turn off when someone has finished working at a micro or supercomputer station. General areas of the ship. There are areas on the ships where personnel can come to work on computer terminals for research purposes, personal areas of interest, communications stations, etc. The general areas of the ships have kitchens and cafeterias with replicators or food preparation stations for making freshly made cuisine. Now, freshly made cuisine is not always accessible depending on where the ship is, in which solar system, which galaxy, how far away it is from Earth. So some foods can be replicated and other foods not so easily. So having fresh produce or food, sometimes it's not so easy to have access to that. So replicators can replicate a lot of different foods, but some things are not so easy to replicate, so they have to be handmade food sources. By that's what I mean, freshly made cuisine. And that's a luxury. It's not always available, depending where you are in space, out in space. So sometimes you have access to normal food fare and while you're out traveling on the ship, especially if you're out for long distance exploration missions, you have standard food for the time that you're traveling. Crew and guest quarters. The crew personnel on the SSP and ICC ships are assigned quarters based on rank. Some quarters are larger with 2 rooms if work ranking is higher, like a captain or a general. Usually for mid-level personnel, 1-bedroom quarters are assigned. There are also guest quarters for negotiators, diplomats, trading personnel, research teams, scientists, engineers, etc. Information centers on ships. All the SSP and ICC ships have a secondary ship bridge that is a dedicated information center deck where intelligence gathering is done and encrypted data is logged into the ship's holographic classified databases. As well, encrypted communications is sent to other ships for passing on classified information and experimental research projects. Ship bridge decks. There are usually 4 to 6 personnel staff stationed at the main ship deck for piloting the ship, navigation control, communications specialists, research crew, etc. There are also the technology specialists who maintain the ship's computers and engineering sections. Crew personnel do shift rotations, so there is R&R downtime for relaxation, etc. Ship weapons control stations. All of the SSP and ICC ships have some type of weapons defense, armament systems which have laser guidance, controls to lock on potential enemy ship targets, photon or plasma torpedo missiles, etc. Some military and defense warships have plasma cannons mounted on the ships in order to be able to defend against planetary or solar system incursion by enemy vessels. Ship navigation consoles. SSP and ICC ships have various navigation consoles to check ship flight plans, course corrections, manifestos of ship missions, etc. As well, there are diagnostic system stations where crew, maintenance staff log in reports for ship repairs and run computer diagnostics on the ship's overall status of functionality and maintenance schedules. Library and archives rooms on ships. The SSP and ICC ships have computerized library and archives rooms which store the ship's mission logs, personnel profiles, research project findings, classified materials, etc. on crystalline data chips that can be accessed from the micro and supercomputer systems. Language translation and ship database creation is done in these ship libraries and archives. As well, there is information provided on planetary histories and protocols on making first contact with other ET species. Science labs for memory recall. There are science labs on the SSP and ICC ships with holographic virtual reality memory pods which specialize in getting crew personnel who had ET lifetimes to be able to activate their original blueprint genetics in cellular memory and remember their memories of who they were on other planets, special abilities, and expertise in job functions like advanced shipbuilding, star navigation, telepathy, etc. And these holographic virtual reality memory pods are also called memory engram stations. Medical Bay Care Centers. There are medical bay care centers on the SSP and ICC ships. The equipment in these centers monitors the physical health and well-being of crew personnel to make sure they are healthy and there is no disease or any AI signals within the brain body. SSP Dark Fleet, otherwise known as Nachtwaffenregier, Night Weapons Roar. The Dark Fleet works with the reptilians, insectoids accompanying them on Empire missions, but the reptilians only act as advisors. There is no ETs on the Dark Fleet ships, only human personnel. Dark Fleet members can be ruthless and wear uniforms that are white on black in color. And on the left-hand side, the image of the reptilian insectoid hybrid, that is Zagor. His name is Zagor, and he wears a smart suit that has nanotechnology in it. And it's fully computerized, and it interfaces with his bodily systems, with his psychic abilities. And Zagor does talk in reptilian, which is not easy to psychically understand or process through the language translation modifications through Neuralink implants. Even the Neuralink implants, when your reptilian languages are not easy to translate, even when you have the Neuralink implants or other microchips in your brain. Who is Zagor, the reptilian insectoid hybrid? Zagor is a reptilian insectoid hybrid who is an ambassador to the Dark Fleet / Nachtwaffen Regier. Night weapons roar, loose translation of the German / Spanish terms for Nachtwaffen Regier. Zagor accompanies Dark Fleet personnel on tours of various classified facilities in the Dark Fleet territory, making sure that the personnel only see facility locations that they are supposed to tour and not wander off to locations that they do not have access to. Zagor is 14 feet tall with green skin and black eyes. He wears an AI smart suit and has the ability to connect to various micro and supercomputer technologies with the assistance of his smart suit. Dark Fleet colonies. The Dark Fleet has managed to venture outside the local solar system and has built colonies on other planets. This fleet's city ships look cigar-shaped as they are transport bus vehicles transferring personnel from the cities to off-world secret bases, space stations, etc. Currently, the Dark Fleet has been locked out from Earth space as there is a shield barrier preventing them from coming back to the local solar system. The Dark Fleet has many genetically altered crew with super soldier abilities, Neuralink implants, and microchip technologies within the personnel's brains. Dark Fleet ships. The Dark Fleet has the most heavily armed and advanced spaceships out of the many SSP ships. And also the ICC has very advanced ships and technologies as well that equal that of the Dark Fleet, sometimes even better than the Dark Fleet. Dark Fleet ships are usually either shaped in a triangular pattern, diamond pattern, or there are circular Death Stars. These ships are large battle cruisers or war striker ships designed to engage in large-scale attacks on enemy space armadas or even interplanetary war. Dark Fleet ships. Some of the Dark Fleet ships are pumpkin-shaped or teardropped, and they are very fast. All of the fleet ships are capable of going beyond the speed of light. Dark Fleet warships are some of the largest ships that the ICC has ever built, and the telecommunications technology on these ships is the most advanced out of all the other SSP ships that were designed. This is an example of a Dark Fleet base, which is somewhat pyramid-shaped. These bases are usually outside of the solar system. There are tall electromagnetic jamming towers, so communication transmissions cannot be intercepted by enemy forces. Dark Fleet defense installations. The Dark Fleet has many defense installations where weapons are produced. Soldiers are trained in fierce fighting techniques that are not legal fighting styles. All these defense installations and bases have their own power cell energy grids, so they are self-sufficient and sustainable, so are not reliant on the SSP or ICC for material support. These bases have planetary magnetic shielding around them, so they cannot be seen or detected from space. So they are virtually cloaked and invisible. They can't be picked up by radar, by telescopes, or satellites out from space. Power cell energy tower grids and Dark Fleet base buildings. There are 40 of these bases on a planet. The way the Dark Fleet treats its assets and operatives can be very despicable. If the assets and operatives are not being cooperative, then the Dark Fleet supervisors of these operatives or assets actually will infest the operatives or assets with archonic entities to basically control uncooperative members of SSP personnel. Now, these archonic entities could be physical, small beings that are worm-like or snail-like, and they're put into someone's ear, mouth, and they burrow themselves into the brain system to control the asset or the operator. And you do things against your own will, you do acts of horror, you do horrible things to other people and yourself, and when these archonic entities leave your body, you're left a broken individual with a lot of trauma and nightmares and horror of what that archonic entity did in your body while it possessed you, literally. So that's what the Dark Fleet does to its unwilling or uncooperative assets. They're infested with archonic entities. Now that could be a physical entity, or it could be an energetic entity that is made of energy and does not have a physical shape or form. So those are entity attachments, the worst and the most foulest of them all. That's what the Dark Fleet does to its uncooperative or unwilling assets. And that's called the Ring of Archons ritual. That's what it basically is. Using negative energies and forces and implanting these archonic entities into living bodies of assets and people who are living and alive to do horrid things. And the asset is always aware of what's going on when the archonic entity has a hold of it. So the asset knows what's happening. They can't control their body while the archonic entity is in their body, but they're fully aware of what the archonic entity is doing with their body. It's taking it out for a ride and doing horrid things and controlling the asset. And it's quite difficult when the archonic entity leaves the asset's body. It's quite difficult to get back your sanity and mental health and even physical health, because you had no control over what the archonic entity did to you or with you. It's horrid. But that's what the Ring of Archons ritual is. That's how the Dark Fleet uses it on its assets and operatives that are not cooperative and don't want to do the Dark Fleet's bidding, but they're forced to do it when these archonic entities infest them, either for a short period of time or a prolonged period of time. It doesn't matter. The Archon is in charge of you. You don't have any free will or any freedom at all in what you do, what your actions are, how you behave. You're not yourself, basically, because you're infested with entity attachments. Cyborg Medical ICC Labs on Mars bases. Cybernetic Labs on Mars bases. The cybernetic labs on the Mars ICC bases create semi-human augmented cyborg soldiers and scouts in order to trade them to other advanced ET species as part of the slave organization, which acquires medical serums to stop diseases, reverse the aging process, or end the aging process completely, receiving technology that is hundreds of years more advanced that they can implement for building better ships, colony facilities, various stations, weaponry, healing, medical pods, etc., as well as gaining rights for more trading routes in space and access to planets where they can build their colonies. The ICC labs use both living and dead body parts for harvesting purposes in order to merge cybernetic technology with the human body component. Human bones can be used for cyborg creation. Only the best tissue matter, body parts, and DNA is selected for splicing with cybernetic technology. There are lab technicians who monitor the selection process for building the human cyborgs. So it's like being a quality control body parts technician. That's what the lab technicians do on these cybernetic labs on Mars that are attached to the ICC Mars bases or in underground laboratory research facilities. On the right-hand side is the interior of the ICC Mars cybernetic labs and holding facilities for testing of biohuman and cybernetic technology, compatibility for genetic matches. This is where the abducted human slaves are brought in order to conduct the cyborg/human integration process. On the left-hand side is the ICC Mars cybernetic labs. They have cryogenic storage units where body parts, bones, tissue, and DNA samples are stored from unwilling test subjects that were slated to be acquired for the cybernetic programs and experiments. On the right-hand side are examples of exoskeleton suits and armor configurations, and these various suits can be different in color, and they could be different in capabilities of what they could do. They're sort of like smart suits, and there's also helmets for them, and they can create their own atmospheric environments with the helmet on, so you could be in any type of a planetary environment and survive in the suit for a while. It adjusts your environmental parameters in the suit as well. It monitors your physical health, emotional state. It gathers telemetry on how you're doing physically. In terms of health-wise, if you break an arm or sprain a leg, medication comes out from the suit to numb the pain so you don't feel the pain, and it has components inside the suit which are healing as well, so it somehow heals your body as you're wearing the suit until you can get to a holographic medical pod or a portable Meditech unit to heal whatever's broken in the body. And on the left-hand side are the physical/computer medical checkup of the eyes and other body parts of the human/cyborg soldiers or scouts after the cybernetic integration process has been done to make sure that individuals are at optimal health levels, as well as getting biophysical and genetic readouts to fit individuals for their exoskeleton suits or armor configured to their genetic type. So after the human cyborg integration process has happened, basically the asset is fitted for their exoskeleton suit and armor configuration. It's specifically designed for their DNA and for their genetic type, so nobody else can wear the suit except that individual for whom the suit has been configured biologically. On the right-hand side are the fluidic tank chambers used to create hybrid species of splicing alien DNA and animal with human genetics to form super soldiers, scouts, etc. On the left-hand side are tank chambers with fluidic material to alter genetic structures in DNA sequences. Cybernetic robots are created in these chambers and can have alien characteristics to be remote controlled. Nazi German Third and Fourth Reich scientists using electromagnetic field stasis unit to contain soul energy before it is transferred into a human cybernetic being. Abducted/kidnapped humans and slaves hang on hooks in the ICC labs with dripping blood awaiting the soul transfer protocol. Now, these were the early stages of the soul transference technology that's being shown here. So the electromagnetic stasis field units were huge in the beginning when they started experimenting with soul transference technology. Now the units are much smaller in size, and the containment field is just as big as the original unit, but the units themselves are now much smaller. So those were just the beginning stages of where the Nazi German scientists were experimenting with the soul transference technology on Mars. On the left-hand side is the stasis containment unit where electrical field holds the soul until it is ready to be implanted into the cyborg/human augmented soldiers and scouts. On the right-hand side is the egg-shaped containment stasis field for holding a soul. Sometimes the soul energy that has been taken out of one being will be stored in containment for a while, so it will need a strong electrically charged unit to hold it before final soul transfer into a cybernetic body is completed. The soul energetic and vibrational patterns might also be changed in the egg-like electrical stasis holding chamber, so the soul cannot remember most of its old memory engrams. Containment fluidic chambers with green goo that hold the soldiers and scouts that are in the process of cybernetic augmentation. These chambers have fluid that can alter genetics and DNA, as well as heal brain damage, regenerate body parts, etc. The containment chambers can also act as torture technology to break down the psyche of the beings which are being held in these chambers. Abducted and kidnapped people are held in these chambers for months at a time. Cyborg/human soldiers and scouts being put into cryostasis units in ICC Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate labs on Mars, now known as the Planetary Corporations. These soldiers/scouts will be traded to various CT groups in exchange for having advanced technology, medicine, trading rights in space lanes, mining privileges, building of outposts, space stations, and the colonization of other planets out beyond the solar system. Cyborg/human soldiers and scouts being conditioned to take programming and orders in the ICC labs connected to Mars bases. This can involve mind control and memory manipulation, with holographic inserts of various types of memories that are false or fake. The soldiers and scouts are exposed to holographic scenarios where they are tested in simulation programs to see how they will react to live situations in terms of combat readiness, encountering aliens, taking orders, not questioning orders, as well as to create brainwashing and false memory implantation, so the individuals are programmed for specific tasks or mission parameters. When there are holographic scenarios involved, the soldiers and scouts experience situations that feel to them like real events which are happening in current life. There are electrical chairs and laser technology that can alter the brain patterns of individuals in order to simulate false or implanted memories, making people believe that they experienced an event or situation in their lives that feels very real to them, but never actually happened in reality. As well, there are mind control helmets that can simulate virtual reality, making people think that they are seeing something in front of themselves which is not really there. Mind trauma is created in order to scare people, cause fear, in order to fracture the mind and soul, thereby breaking the person and making them weak in spirit. This creates vulnerability, so people can easily be controlled to do unspeakable things or acts that they would normally never do. ICC agents checking/monitoring the process of how other agents are receiving mind programming protocols/instructions in order to be ready and prepared to go out on active missions. This is happening on the Mars bases and in the ICC labs, as well as on other planets in solar systems. Experiments being done for crossbreeding of human and ET hybrids, as well as genetically modifying humans to create super soldiers. Often the super soldiers have advanced abilities like becoming invisible, being able to change weather, work with water manipulation, fire, electricity, and have fast reflexes, as well as strength. Other super soldiers are crossbred with animal genetics and can shapeshift into animals or partial animal human forms or forms. Now, these types of experiments are done in Area 51 and also in Antarctica research labs. On the right-hand side is an example of what a replication lab looks like with regeneration chambers and tanks. On the left-hand side are the ICC labs on Mars, which have genetic and DNA vaults, which house genetic material of the human species, animals, plants, minerals, etc. From these genetic vaults, replication of the species can be done and repopulation can be created if there is a catastrophe on Earth or other SSP colonies on different planets. The medical pods and stasis transfer holopods are manufactured on the ICC Mars labs, which are located near the Mars base facilities with heavy security. There are also regeneration stations which can scan the body for minor damage like broken bones, burns, or tissue damage, and regenerate bones, cartilage, tissues, etc., so there is no physical damage left to the body. For complete body and brain repair, the holographic medical pods need to be used in order to remove all disease and heavy, unrepairable damage, as well as reviving those that have died recently and been dead for close to 14 as well as 20 hours in duration time. Holding facilities with electric restraints when testing subjects for genetic modification to create super soldiers with augmented psionic abilities. Many times the subjects are sedated, so they do not remember what genetic procedures were being done to them. holographic medical scanner connected to both the subject and the scientist through a Neuralink electrode connection. The scientist can see the subject's body parts and organs in order to be able to make cuts and incisions for where body parts will be spliced with cybernetically augmented technology. There are laser and cutting implements hanging above the holographic scanner for when the augmentation process starts. The ICC Cybernetic labs have facilities for creating Neuralink implants that are made from nanotechnology in gold fiber optics, which are small filaments of gold interwoven into the neurons and the axons of the human brain. There are ocular Neuralink implants and also deep brain matter fiber implants. These implants record visual telemetry as well as audio of where individuals go off-world, who they meet, and what type of information the brain is processing. All this recorded telemetry information is sent through the Neuralink brainwave interface to the ICC holographic virtual databases for file classification on different agents, assets, mission intel, ships, planets, aliens, etc. The Neuralink implants are also used to create telepathic connections to be able to interact with onboard ship systems using the mind through technology connection. And this technology is often thought-assisted consciousness with using the nanotech technology that's infused in the Neuralink implants. Pilots use the Neuralink interface to merge with supercomputers in order to program flight parameters into ships for navigation and operate the ships this way, as well as communicate with others telepathically who have Neuralink implants. These implants can also act as language translation devices and also augment the brain to have photographic/eidetic memory, or open natural stargateway portals with the mind in order to travel to different planets or star systems. These are methods of teleportation. The Neuralink chairs are technology that allow augmented humans with Neuralink implants to connect with the neuro interface of the cybernetic chair tech and be able to track or monitor individuals at any time, as well as view any events happening on the planet or out in space. These Neuralink chairs can be adapted to view timeline events either backwards in time or forwards in time, as well as open Stargateway portals in order to travel to various points on planets or even different solar systems. The Neuralink chairs allow to create holographic constructs where individuals communicate with each other in real time through a virtual biofeedback slipstream loop in their minds, seeing places, locations, and other people interacting with each other. As well, the Neuralink chairs can be used to download information or upload data to them, archive memories, and retrieve information from various databases. The ICC scientists use medical serums to alter the body chemistry in order to be able to change genetic characteristics of people. This happens where body mass or shape can turn into humanoid-looking ETs temporarily, then return the people to looking back to human after a while or short time. As well, the scientists have the ability to combine cybernetic technology with the biological functions of the human body to create augmented cyborgs. There are stasis transfer units in which human slaves, augmented soldiers, and scouts are transported in when they are traded to ET species. The slaves are used for different purposes like slave labor, sex trafficking, mind control, military uses, medical experiments, etc. The trading and transfer of slaves happens on many of the highly guarded ICC Mars labs and training facilities. As well, the ICC has 4 different cloaked Mars Station orbiter platforms where aliens can go to bargain for trading of humans. Most trading of the human slaves happens on the orbiter stations and off-planet, so these unethical practices cannot be easily observed/reported to the Secret Space Program Alliance. And now it has been discovered that the Secret Space Program Alliance may not even exist. Because in my hypnosis sessions, I never actually remembered a Secret Space Program Alliance, so there may not be any place to report these abductions, slave labor trading with extraterrestrials, all these types of experiments. There may not even be a Secret Space Program Alliance. In insurance on Earth, a human life is worth around 300,000. It is true, some get a lot more, and also some get a lot less. This is talking here about accidents to humans on Earth, not really servitude, indenturement, or slavery. So, how much is a human life insurance? Value in this part of the Secret Space Program worth? Holopods do require a certain amount of time, personnel, and resources to operate. Is this an additional term to a policy for the above-mentioned statement? The holopod unit that keeps the humans in stasis while handed over to the ET is pre-programmed to keep the human sleeping, so it does not take much for it to be operated. It is handed over with the human to the ET and no longer the ICC's to handle. It's for trade bargains, etc. Slaves wear metallic collars, which are electronic, so they behave and do not try to escape. The collars can create pain to keep slaves in line. The collars are worn around the neck, hands, or on the feet. And these electronically operated collars, they can create seizures, they can create nosebleeds, ear bleeds, migraines, headaches. They can electric shock somebody. So it can create a lot of different pain and injuries, depending what level it's set at of the pain threshold. So these collars can do a lot of damage to human bodies. But who fixes the holopod if it breaks down or needs upgrades for the humans? And if a being has one holopod already for one human, that being would surely not buy another holopod if they acquire more humans. So one holopod could be servicing many humans. Hence, wear and tear from usage on one holopod would be high. So this one unit would require maintenance to keep a number of humans healthy and well. The holopod units are already provided when the ET trades to have a human slaves. It's part of the original agreement. Holopods are only to transfer the human into ET custody. Then the human is no longer in the holopod. This holopod is not a medical healing pod. Various pods have different purposes. The pod is to keep the human sleeping temporarily, so it cannot escape its ET master. The humans become ET slaves after they are taken out of the holopods. Medical pods / holopods hypothesis. Holopods should have the capabilities to keep slaves maintenance-free as pertains to physical and mental health. Any being purchasing or trading for one or more humans would demand this, because there may not be facilities for the health of humans where they are going. In fact, if you look at it from the extraterrestrials' point of view, they also would carry their own type of holopod with them when they are away from home. After all, these extraterrestrial beings could not depend on some other extraterrestrial being to know their medical physiology and have a doctor just for them. Also, in transit across a solar system or galaxy, the being would have to provide their own technology for medical emergency for themselves. It would be important to make sure that these holopods have upgrades for medical physiology of human slaves, as buyers and traders would likely demand this. Informational credit, Theodore Hahn from the Secret Space Program group on Facebook. The ICC Mars Labs build full AI artificial intelligence androids and robots that operate some of the cloaked Mars station orbiter platforms. These androids and robots have human-looking features, but their skin color could be silver or gray to distinguish them from the cyborgs, which are partially human spliced with cybernetic technology. And the cyborgs look very human-like. As an example, like the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica. They look fully human with human skin, colors, hair, eyes, fully sentient thought processes, their own minds, just like humans but augmented with cybernetics. The AI androids and robots interface with various computer systems in order to maintain and repair ships or space stations which are located near Mars' planetary orbit. On the left-hand side, this is an example image to represent how an artificial intelligence AI android or robot is being built. Surgical Medical Center run by a military industrial complex secret space program, MIC/SSP. These surgical centers have age regression pods, holographic pods with medical lasers to regenerate missing body parts, heal wounds like burns or scars with gel serums, and do body scans for health checks. The age regression pods look like MRI machines that are used to scan the human body currently in Earth hospitals. The age regression pods have time dilation technology which can change the temporal condition of living beings by dialing forward the zero time reference axis in the biological systems of humans, while the time dilation mechanism shifts time backwards to balance the process. There are magnets inside some of the holographic pods that can trigger memory recall or erase traumatic memories/experiences from the brain. This image represents various medical healing pods, regeneration tanks, and healing tubes. On the bottom left-hand side is an example of an age regression pod. On the right-hand side are examples of a regeneration tank on the bottom and also medical healing station on the top of the image. Age regression pod with bioscanners checking the body to make sure there are no wounds, scars, or emotional trauma before an individual is regressed into a young age stage from their current older age. The age regression pod can fix skin tissue damage and various types of burns. So literally, the holographic medical pod, it can, if all of your skin is damaged somehow on the body, like 100% of the body, the skin is damaged on it, the holographic medical pods can regenerate new healthy living skin and tissues. So sometimes in this image, it shows that this person has been wounded, so they have literally almost no skin over their body. So this can happen sometimes on missions in the various SSP factions. So the holographic medical pods can literally fix that kind of severe damage where you have a lot of burns or almost no skin on your body. The pods can regenerate the skin and tissue, like living cells, stem cells, tissue, skin. It can regenerate practically anything and keep you alive. Regeneration tanks with green substance, which is like a green goo. These tanks can regrow body parts and fix trauma, damage to the nervous system, central nervous system, autoimmune system, and the brain. Memory recall and regression sessions in liquid pools with Visor virtual reality technology in order to recover ET, past life memories, and experiences. That's one of the reasons the secret space program factions and groups actually take civilians or military personnel, especially if they've had profiles of having past lives of being extraterrestrials. So if you've been an extraterrestrial and have had many different past life experiences as ETs, you have certain abilities, certain technological knowledge, and also knowledge about different planets, solar systems, dimensions, etc., etc. This type of information is very important and very coveted for the secret space programs, and they could actually retrieve the past life memories of you being an ET from your brain and input it into their virtual reality databases. So they'll know everything that you ever knew as an extraterrestrial or various extraterrestrials from past lifetimes. So that type of information is very valuable to the secret space programs because they could build out advanced technologies, improve different medical systems that are also advanced. This is like gold to them. It's very valuable information, and they want it. They always do. This is an example image of a Ingram Memory Review Station. So this Memory Ingram Review Station is viewing memory recall of an individual's life. It also has the capacity for blank slating of memories, implanting different memory engrams into the person's brain. So these memory engram stations have various different capabilities of what they can do to a person's brain. They could literally erase everything you've ever known about yourself, all of your memories, whether short-term memories or long-term memories, it does not matter. It could create a totally new personality for you. So the memory engram stations aren't just used to review memory recall of individuals' life. It could be used for virtually anything, to erase memories, to create new memories, to layer memory engrams, one on top of another. It can even give you somebody else's memories. The secret space programs have very advanced research labs that have created technology that could literally make you into a different personality, so to speak. Give you a different alter, so you think you're somebody else. And you can have many different alters in your brain that can be activated at any time. Holographic medical pods. So in this presentation, I will discuss how the holographic medical pods work in terms of healing wounds, reviving people back from the dead and curing different types of diseases. So you will see images of these pods. You'll also see images of portable Meditech units, which also can fix any types of wounds out in the field or temporarily bring someone back from the brink of death. And this type of advanced technology is used in the secret space programs in various divisions and groups, especially on Mars and the Moon. The holographic medical pods are automated medical stations where a medical expert selects the type of procedure to be done from the computer database. Then the patient lies down in the pod and the machine performs the medical operation or procedure. Then the lasers will close up the points of entry from where the procedure was done. These types of holographic medical pods have features such as an airtight operating shield, comfortable limb restraints, a laser scalpel, laser mirror arms to remove scarring, computer-controlled robotic surgical arms, liquid spray anesthetic, and vital signs sensors. All of these features are mounted on an adjustable titanium base. The med pods allow users to diagnose, treat, and perform a wide range of surgical procedures with the ultrafine laser incisions that are guided by 3D anatomical scanning. The 3D scanning has refractory lenses which take live scans of the body in order to do various medical procedures. The 3D anatomical scanning lens and laser technology allows for complete diagnosis of all body systems, including neurological factors, treatment of infection through concentrated antibiotic injections, detoxification of the body in order to cure diseases like cancer, basic or advanced wound repair, limb regeneration, through cellular DNA reconstruction, and scar removal. As well, other procedures can be done, such as appendectomy, laparoscopic ablation, and cesarean section. The med pods can also regenerate dying cell tissues in the body in order to make the cells healthy again, as well as revive neurons, protons, stem cells, etc. This is done in order to be able to cure diseases like, for example, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, etc. This is what the holographic medical pods look like, which the secret space programs utilize in their medical bays. The advanced medical pods have micro-laser technology and multiple refractory lenses that can manipulate the body's natural chronometer and perform age regression procedures through DNA modification or even do cross-hybridization between human DNA and ET genetics, or mix animal DNA with the human genome in order to create stronger and healthier species of humans. There is advanced holographic supercomputer software that can create various types of memory engrams that can be imprinted on people's brains through light spectrum visual imagery in order to create false or altered screen memories. As well, brain memory suppression injection drugs are administered, so blacklisted classified memories cannot be easily recalled by individuals. These procedures are often done in the SSP programs while someone is being treated in the holographic medical pod before their contract discharge time is up and they are administered the age regression protocol. So basically what age regression does is bring you back to the 0 point of the time that you were taken into the secret space program at the age of 18, 16, 5, 10, whatever the time you were taken as an asset into the secret space programs or other top secret programs. That is the point that you're regressed back in time from being old to that young period again. and it's done with these holographic medical pods. That's just one of the uses for the pods, not just healing or curing people of diseases or death. Interactive supercomputer software display that can encode memory engrams onto the brain during the age regression protocol process. Some of the MedPods have biomimetic gel on them, which will synthesize healthy and young cell tissue in the body in order to replace the cells that are dying off and can no longer self-regenerate. The biomimetic gel is also used to prevent third-degree burns from scarring the body so that scar tissue does not build up on the skin. This gel also removes any germs or bacteria that can cause infections in the human body. A medical bay being prepared for 3D metric laser surgery with one of the holographic medical pods. The image on the left is an example of how the biomimetic gel is placed on one of the holographic medical pod units. So basically what happens is the older style generation of the medical pods looks like an MRI scanning machine. So what happens is you lie down on the mimetic gel before the scanning device goes into the holographic pod itself. So you basically feel a cool sensation from the mimetic gel, which looks sort of bluish white in substance. And the gel helps to remove scarring tissue or any types of other deficiencies on the skin that would require plastic surgery basically on Earth. So when you go in and lie down in the mimetic gel on the holographic medical pod, you won't need plastic surgery. The holographic pod, with the help of the mimetic gel, will remove any scarring or other tissue, skin imperfections, basically before you're age regressed back to the point of when you were young and taken into the space program. So basically, all scar tissue or skin imperfections that you may have gotten during your service as an asset in the secret space programs, all that is removed. So you have the exact same skin. You will have the exact same skin tone and without scarring as before you went into the secret space program at whatever age that was. And the ages can be as children or as teenagers or as grown-ups. It could be at any point depending on what the secret space program took you for. Medical lab for holographic medpods. The holographic medpods are usually located in medical lab bays either on space stations, planetary bases, or on spaceships. These medpods can be installed virtually anywhere as they do not require much power to operate. There are also portable Meditech pod units, which put injured subjects into stasis sleep in order to slow down bodily degradation and conserve life force energy so that patients do not die on their way for medical attention. These portable units are designed for basic wound repair on the go and small-scale organ regeneration. The images on the left and the right are what the portable Meditech pod units look like, and in some cases in emergency, if there's no holographic medical bed available or pod, the portable Meditech units can be used to heal mortal wounds or bring back somebody from the dead. In extreme cases, this can be done because these Meditech units are also a smaller version of the holographic medical pod. So it can be used to heal almost any type of wounds, to cure diseases, and like I said, bring somebody back from the dead if need be. It could be adjusted for that purpose as well in emergencies. This is an image of a medical pod preparing to do laparoscopic laser surgery on a patient. 3D anatomical imaging scans being done to determine where laser surgery targets for wound repair will be performed. In this image, limb restraints are shown, which emit an anesthetic to put the patient into stasis sleep mode. So what the limb restraints are being attached to the body so patient does not move around during the surgery, and liquid spray anesthetic is being administered so the patient does not feel pain during the operation. Like I said in the beginning, that these limb restraints they act like electrodes, providing anesthetic on body parts. So the patient starts to go into sleep mode / stasis during surgery, because surgery can take from up to an hour to 2 hours or 30 minutes, depending on what kind of surgery is being done to the patient. In this image, laser laparoscopic surgery is in progress while the patient is under medication stasis sedation, and the holographic medical pods, either the surgery can be done remotely with specialized programming that's input into the software of the medical pod, so it does surgery remotely without having a doctor be on site per se. So remote surgery can be done when the doctor inputs the programming into the pod and monitors the surgery process itself. Sometimes if it's just general surgery and it's done in an emergency, there's no doctor, nurses can input the programming into the software and the medical pod will do the surgery itself without a doctor. And that could happen at times. For scar removal and stuff like that, again, they input the software into the medical pod, the instructions for how the surgery should be done, and the medical pod closes up, the patient is put into stasis sleep, and the plastic surgery is done by the medical pod, by the lasers and the scanners. They remove the scarring from the tissue, and the patient is healed, and then they wake up after like 30-40 minutes, depending on surgery. It could take longer. So doctors aren't always necessary to be present when the holographic medical pod is doing surgery. Sometimes there are doctors and nurses. Sometimes the settings are input into the software and the medical pod will do the surgery itself, while a nurse or a doctor is looking in on the surgery from time to time to make sure it's progressing well, and as well or remotely, depending on what the situation could be or is for the surgery. Inside the secret space programs, bases and living arrangements. Now, the locations are for the Mars bases and for the Moon bases of various SSP factions. There are bases that are inside craters on the Moon and Mars. The left-hand image shows a replicator unit. The replicator unit has data banks of schematics for how to replicate items. In the middle are various examples of uniforms that SSP personnel wear on the bases. It could be jumpsuits, it could be form-fitted uniforms that look more official. It depends on the rank of the personnel that are stationed on either the Moon bases or the Mars bases. And on the right-hand side, you have the stealth suit. it has an oxygen helmet that comes with it. The replicator technology can create food, clothing, uniforms, stealth suits, etc. All crew quarters have basic replicators to meet daily living needs on bases and ships. SSP base crew quarters. Most of the SSP crew quarters on bases have 12 bunk beds per group working unit. There are usually 2 tables in the large unit living quarters with 4 chairs each per table for conference calls or work discussion meetings. The crew quarters have built-in wall storage units that retract for storing personal possessions and work-related items. There are bathroom and washing facilities located near each of the bunking room units. The private corporations that build out these bases on Mars and the Moon, like the planetary corporations and the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, they do not have to answer to the public, since these corporations are up in space. They do have affiliations with Earth, with various aerospace contractors, with medical research facilities on Earth, and other secret black ops bases and everything in between that as well. So there are connections between these planetary corporations. But since they're in space, they don't have to answer to anybody but themselves. So basically, there's no oversight in freedom of people. Freedom of people, yeah. Rights and freedoms. There's no oversight for that. Basically, you're kidnapped, you're taken into these programs, and you're put to work on these bases. And the way the bases are run is military style, as you can see in the images. You eat, you sleep, you work, and you repeat the cycle again. And then you have some leisure downtime, a little bit of it, so you can decompress, and then you have to get back to work again. That's how the work rotations happen on these bases. And then after a couple of years, you're rotated to other bases for different jobs or missions. As well, you're put on ships, either near Earth or Moon or Mars orbit, or somewhere in the solar system or outside of the solar system. Or you could be put on a space orbital platform, which are space stations, basically, that orbit around the Moon, the Earth, or Mars, and they're cloaked space stations. Now, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate ICC faction, they have 4 Mars orbital space station platforms orbiting Mars, and they're all cloaked. That's newer style technology of orbital space station platforms. And sometimes SSP assets are stationed there for various research projects and job tasks of a scientific nature. Senior personnel base crew quarters. The senior personnel have living quarters that are not shared with other crew members. These quarters include a large room with a bed, recliner, chairs, desks, and a medium-sized bathroom with a sonic shower, sink, and toilet. There is also an entryway hall with retractable wall storage cabinets, and cases. Senior personnel base crew quarters. Some of the larger quarters that are assigned to captains have sofas and tables in case the captains need to entertain guests or have meetings with crew personnel about project reports and briefings about classified intelligence. A temporary solid partition can slide down from the ceiling in order to separate the seating areas from the sleeping arrangements. It is rare that the entertainment area in a captain's quarters is used for bringing in guests, only if all other meeting rooms or halls are booked on a base or ship. Crew quarters near engineering and the science deck. The engineering and science teams usually have their living quarters near the command stations that they are assigned to. These quarters are minimally furnished with a bed, table, and a sofa. There are bookcases, stackable storage bins, and cabinets in these types of living quarters, as well as sometimes having retractable freezer units in the walls with research specimen samples. Single living crew quarters, bathroom. The senior personnel crew who have single quarters also have an adjacent bathroom with a medium-sized steam vapor and sonic shower, sonic sink with mirror, and a compact toilet. The bathroom has enough room to move around in and also a sitting bench in the shower area that has glass sliding doors. Shared crew quarters have small sonic shower stalls. These do not have the steam vapor features like the larger bathrooms have. And on the Mars bases, you won't find toilet paper. That's considered wasteful. So there's other ways of drying your hands, and also when you go on the toilet, it's actually a smart toilet. So it does something interesting, and it works in a very interesting way as well to replace toilet paper. Sonic sinks and showers in base bathrooms. The sonic sinks and showers emit bluish-white energy beams with small amounts of water that clean the body and remove any bacteria. This technology does not use much water, as that is at a premium on bases, especially on Mars. Sonic shower and sink technology uses pulses of ultrasonic vibrations in order to remove dirt and grime from someone's body by vibrating/evaporating residue. This technology is a combination of steam jets and high-frequency ultrasonic low-amplitude acoustic generators, which are employed in order to bathe the user in a thin film of water condensate, which would then be vibrated, thus initiating the cleansing function. A few drops of liquid soap are all that is required to dissolve whatever sweat and dirt which can accumulate since the last shower session. Sonic sinks and showers in base bathrooms. Since the sonic sinks and showers use very little amounts of water, it makes this technology efficient in terms of being able to reduce water consumption during hand washing or bathing, especially on the Mars bases. The water is recycled and goes through a purification process on the bases and ships, so it can be reused. Sonic technology also reduces power levels, so less energy is needed to operate the sinks and showers. Smart technology toilets. The smart toilets have seats that raise automatically after use, and there are self-cleaning sensor systems that sanitize the toilet with a hot steam substance and a UV light to remove germs and bacteria. These toilets have retractable spritzing wands and automatic dryers in order to wash someone from behind and in front with water, then dry without using toilet paper. This reduces waste. The smart technology toilets have computerized systems which can adjust temperature, direction, and pressure control of the spritzing wands or the dryers. As well, the smart toilet seats have a warming setting, automatic motion sensors to raise the lid, buttons to raise the seat, night lights, self-cleansing mechanisms, music to mask unpleasant sounds, and deodorizer spritzers to remove unwanted scents. On the right-hand side is a compact and computerized smart technology toilet design system. On the left-hand side is the spritzing wands, which wash both from the behind and the front. Then the dryer dries the back and front. Takes a couple of minutes and no need for toilet paper after you have finished your business. On the smart toilet, otherwise known as a bidet on Earth. On Mars, it's called a smart toilet. There's also pressure adjustable and retractable spritzing washing wands on the smart technology toilets. And that's what I just described below the image. A spritzing wand. Shower combinations on the bases. There are different types of shower combinations on the bases. These can include a vapor fog shower, which emits steam in order to clean the body and remove aches and pains. There are sonic showers, which emit the bluish-white energy beams to cleanse the body with only small amounts of water used. As well, the more premium bathrooms do have water-based showers. There are some time restrictions for how long an individual can take a water shower, as water is at a premium on off-world bases and ships. The shower stalls are not large. The enclosures are compact in order to fit into the smaller and medium-sized bathrooms on bases and ships. Moon bases are built either in craters or near craters. The circular shapes of craters help to build the dome housing to base entrances and to mask them as hills or rubble, so they are hard to see from space. The bases on the Moon and Mars are built in multiple levels that go underground. There are parts of the Moon that cannot be seen by satellites or telescopes, portions of the dark side of the Moon, and it makes it easier to land craft there without being spotted or seen by radar, by telescopes, or satellites that are up in Earth orbit and near Mars orbit, near the Moon as well. This presentation had been made a year and a half ago, and since then I have learned that Lunar Operations Command is actually called Lunar Space Operations because the LSP has actually several different bases on the Moon, and it has also other bases in the solar system. So it's not called Lunar Operations Command. From my memories that I've been able to recover through hypnosis, regression, it's called Lunar Space operations. And for short, I call it LSP. I've substituted the O for P because it just sounds more professional. LSP. Lunar Space Operations, for short. And the following are coordinates of various locations that came from my hypnosis regression sessions of where I had been on the moon as an SSP asset where I was placed, and as well on the ICC Mars bases. I now call the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, ICC, I call it Planetary Corporations, because that's something else that came up in the hypnosis regression, a different name for it. And these are actual coordinates of locations and sites where I had been, and they're searchable on Google Earth. The first sets will be the moon of the coordinates. The place is Lunar Operations Command, which is now called Lunar Space Operations. That's the new terminology. The set of directions are 83, 48, 59.26 south, 118, 30, 06.85 east. Elevation is 14,515 feet. Secret Space Program Research Lab facilities on the moon. Set of directions 85, 11, 29.68 south, 178, 22, 34.98 west. Elevation 17,284 feet. Secret Space Program Port Docking Facility on the moon. Set of directions 75, 27, 40.90 south, 132, 49, 17.15 east. Elevation 14,939 feet. Dark Fleet Primary Base, which I now remember it to be as Nachtwaffenregier, which is part German and also part Spanish. And the Nachtwaffenregier, Dark Fleet, primary base is on the moon. Set of directions is 25, 40, 02.14 north, 21, 12, 05.42 west. Elevation 11,431 feet. Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate Primary Base. Now, from the hypnosis regression, I found out that the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate is called the Planetary Corporations. And this ICC primary base is on the moon. Set of directions are 26, 39, 16.11 north, 13, 29, 35.97 west. Elevation 9,846 feet. Space landing port for ships. The location for this is on the moon, and there's a notation for this. There is a large research facility, SSP Secret Space Program, beside the spaceport. Set of directions 43, 31, 45.37 south, 11, 18, 01.53 west. Elevation 8,875 feet. Mining operations of the SSP Secret Space Program, location on the Moon, set of directions 20, 33, 30.83 south, 95, 50, 42.69 west, elevation 9,762 feet. Most of the Mars bases are on the northern part of Mars, where all the manufacturing plants are located and the research facilities are housed. There are Martian bases and colonies located in the equatorial portions of Mars. Mars Colony 1, location Mars, set of directions 72, 23, 54.85 north, 164, 21, 33.49 east, elevation 17,021 feet. Mars Colony 2, location Mars, set of directions 4813, 32.38 north, 139, 29, 04.55 east, elevation 18,411 feet. Mars ICC Base 1, location Mars, set of directions 859, 31.52 south, 115, 40, 29.16 west, elevation 22,771 feet. Mars ICC Base 2, location Mars, notations, one of the largest manufacturing bases and laboratories, set of directions 62, 20, 13.43 north, 142, 11, 38.35 east, elevation 14,420 feet. Mars ICC Base 3, location Mars, notations, research installation facility inside the crater. Set of directions 3, 57, 31.94 north, 111, 09, 46.95 west, elevation 15,043 feet. Mars ICC Base 5, location Mars, set of directions 6107, 22.47 north, 1042, 17.39 west, elevation 16,241 feet. Mars ICC Base 5, location Mars, notations, beside the base are underground cavern systems where top secret labs are being housed. Set of directions 10, 25, 33.12 north, 150, 16, 55.26 east. And there's another note in the previous presentation that had been done on the Mars domes, bases, and cities. Beside Mars ICC Base 5, there's a crater. And when the image had been inverted, it showed that there's some kind of a dome facility in the crater itself. Now, I don't know what's inside the dome facility. I only know that there's underground cavern systems where top secret labs are being housed underneath the base itself. Mars ICC Base 5. So the labs are under the base. So perhaps there's more to the labs than just underground. Perhaps they're also in the domed facility. The dome probably protects another lab research facility inside the crater. And the elevation is 7,820 feet. Mars ICC Base 6. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 9443705 south, 1030328.71 west. Elevation, 23,091 feet. Mars ICC Base 7. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 263820.95 north, 765518.16 west. Elevation, 2,399 feet. Mars ICC Base 8. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 85056.38 south, 875359.81 west. Elevation, 16,257 feet. Mars ICC Base 9. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 200624.86 south, 1073625.83 west. Elevation, 18,136 feet. Mars ICC Base 10. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 413837.23 north, 442114.97 east. Elevation, 8,946 feet. Mars ICC Base 11. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 172315.91 north, 684653.36 west. Elevation, 4,856 feet. Mars Weapons Testing Facility 1. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 152100.38 south, 1082305.56 west. Elevation, 19,734 feet. Mars Weapons Testing Facility 2. Location, Mars. Set of directions, 292641.26 north, 1062804.05 west. Elevation, 7,716 feet. Mars colonies and bases protected by domes in craters. Domes protect structures from meteors, asteroids, etc. The Mars colonies and bases that are built inside craters are protected by domes made from reflective shielding materials so that meteors, asteroids, radiation, and impacts from solar storms cannot damage the structures housed within the domed facilities. As well, the reflective shielding on the domes masks the colonies and bases, so it appears as if the building structures are invisibly cloaked, therefore cannot be spotted with radar, telescopes, or satellites from space. And these domes look like they have glass-like structures. That's the dome itself. It looks like it's glass-like, but it's something different in materials that they're built out from. And inside these domes are the Mars bases as well as moon bases. And these domes are also utilized in Antarctica to build various research facilities, medical ones, as well as bases, black ops bases, extraterrestrial bases, and these domes are also utilized in underwater facilities where they build bases deep on the ocean sea floor. And they use special type of foundation to put the base on, then the dome covers the base or bases, and it protects the base or bases from being flooded with water. It creates like a biodome with a self-sustainable atmosphere. So this is how these domes work. This is what the exterior reflective shielding materials look like, which the domes are made of. These are biodomes that are designed to house large colonies, cities, bases, research facilities, and hydroponics gardens for growing food. There is a breathable atmosphere and gravity within the domes that provides livable habitats for individuals occupying these facilities. The domed facilities also act as perimeter and security measures, as the domes cannot be accessed without authorized clearance from the inhabitants living in them. So there's this type of electromagnetic frequency field that is around these domes. So it basically protects all the inhabitants, the cities, the bases inside the domes, as well as the colonies. And these electromagnetic fields don't harm the people that walk in and walk out from these domes because they have clearance access to them. They have specialized emitters on their hand that allow them to go through the electromagnetic field. So it's kind of like a force field, but it doesn't harm you. It just deflects various asteroids, meteors, space junk, weapons, laser, phaser, physical projectile weapons. So that's what the domes are designed for, mainly. The domes are built on the surface of Mars within the craters, but domes do not need to be housed within craters. They could be freestanding structures. There are multiple levels built and linked to the dome facilities. Some of these levels go deep underground with elevators or tunnel systems. In the underground facilities, there are top secret research labs and military operations as well. This could include medical, experimental labs, genetic modification, and these labs are deep underground, or they could be attached to bases on the surface that's covered by the domes. These facilities are often built near or within inactive lava tubes, which are already hollow. There are domes that are dedicated for growing forests, gardens, food, and recreational areas with parks, mountains, lakes, and even mini oceans. These domes are designed to create natural green spaces for animals and people without having any cities or bases on the premises for these types of dome facilities. This is specifically done to preserve nature and clean oxygen levels in order to prevent contamination from damaging the plant life in food-growing gardens. There are dome facilities that actually have literal oceans or lakes inside the dome with mountain peaks and you can see the atmosphere of Mars from inside the dome because the dome structure itself is clear from the inside. So you can actually look outside of it when you get close to the glass-like walls, the perimeter of the dome. There are hydroponic gardens utilizing water and mineral nutrients in order to grow plants. It is more efficient to grow plants without using soil on planets like Mars that have arid desert-like climate conditions. Although within the biodomes, temperatures and climates can be adjusted to any type of an environment or environments, so anything will be able to grow within the biodome, whether it needs soil or not. So basically, hydroponic gardens, they don't utilize a lot of soil or water, but it does need nutrients, wood chips, sand, different type of mixtures of supplements. And there are many types of these supplements that could be used for hydroponics gardens. And so it requires little soil or water for hydroponic maintenance of these types of food gardens or even flower gardens. These are example images of what the outside and inside environments look like around and within the dome facilities. This includes military facilities, research facilities, hydroponic gardens, etc. There is electromagnetic shielding covering the outside of all of the built domes, so usually there will be power generators around the domes to provide energy to keep the electromagnetic shielding running efficiently. And these generators, they don't run on electricity. They run on free energy technology and anti-gravity technology. So basically, it's not electricity that's being utilized for the generators. And even the power supply inside the domes, that's not electrically run. It's run with Tesla-like technologies and free energy technology. So the electromagnetic field, this is like a force field or tractor beam that is designed to repel meteors, asteroids, etc. from damaging the dome structures. The electromagnetic shielding temporarily comes down when people leave or enter the domes and is reactivated again once there is nobody standing by the domes. And the people who enter in and leave the domes, they have these little emitters on their hand so they can bring down the shielding of the dome and then reactivate it. Or it's set on a very low frequency so they don't even have to deactivate the shielding when they leave the dome. It really depends on the situation. So basically there's like yellow alert, green alert, red alert, different levels of alert systems for the dome facilities, for the electromagnetic force field type of shielding around it. So, and sometimes there's zero alert, so they don't really need to bring down the shielding at all. They can just set the emitter to very, very low frequency and just leave the dome. And the electromagnetic shield itself is still active, so they don't always have to deactivate it completely. It depends on the alert systems and what's going on in the environment around the domes. Crater impact sites that are created by meteors or asteroids are often deep and round-shaped basin areas, which make them some of the ideal places to build hidden Mars colonies, cities, bases, research laboratories, etc. These locations are camouflaged by reflective electromagnetic shielding around the dome facilities. So radar or telescopes or satellites cannot detect either the domes or the structures built within them. Often, there are several domed facilities which are built beside each other and then connected by corridors so they can easily be navigated to go between the different buildings. To conserve electricity, solar panels, Tesla coils, etc. are often used to power communications facilities. There are also mining operations and refinery facilities located away from cities or colonies. Precious and exotic metals or minerals are extracted on Mars to build spaceships, stations, etc. So electricity is rarely used in facilities that have domes over them. So they have other means of powering the domes and the bases. Solar panels are used, although it depends. Sometimes there's little sun in certain areas of Mars. It depends where you are on the planet, where these domes and bases are built. So there has to be a backup plan if the solar panels can be used. Then Tesla coils, other free energy devices, all that is used for the dome facilities. So these images are examples of the Mars domed cities, communication bases, laboratories, etc. Finding dome cities and bases on Mars. The secret space programs are known to build domed city colonies and bases in craters on Mars. The way to check whether there is a dome in a crater is to go to Google Earth Pro, look up large craters on Mars, save the image or images of it. The crater or craters should have a deep impact site and seem like they have a filled-in look with a slight refractory image overlay. This is how you can tell that there is likely a dome, with cities or bases built into the crater or craters. Once you have finished your crater search in Google Earth Pro, having your collection of images, then open Photoshop, go to Image, Adjustments, Invert, then go to Edit, Fade Invert, beside Mode select Luminosity, press OK. After that, go to Image, Adjustments, Hue/Saturation, and slightly adjust the saturation of the image to less brightness to make out the opalescent white glowing reflections of the domed city or base in your image. Removing some of the saturation from the image adds detail to the clarity and shape of the dome or domes. Locations of domed cities and bases on Mars. In the below presentation of coordinates for domed cities and bases on Mars, 3 variants of images will be shown. First image will show an empty crater. Second image will show inverted crater image with high color saturation to show the depth of the dome. And third image will show the dome with less color to define its shape characteristics. Coordinates, locations, and names of surrounding areas where the domes are located will be provided along with the map images. So when somebody is looking for various crater impact sites on Google Earth Pro, it's best to save all the images that you find, the original craters, and then when you invert the images and you see the dome layer over the crater sites, save those images again as a separately titled file. That way you have examples of the crater without anything there, and then once you invert the image and adjust the color parameters, Then you have the secondary image with the overlay of the dome on top of the crater. And it's best to have samples of the original crater without the dome, and then the adjusted image that's been inverted and color adjusted with the refractory dome over the crater. That way you could show both examples to say, well, this is how this was done, and that's how you find the domes over cities, bases, research facilities, etc. on Mars, as well as on the moon and elsewhere. With the moon, it's a little bit more difficult because when you go to Google Earth Pro, the moon is in grayscale, which makes it a little bit harder to find these craters where the domes would be, because it's grayscale and it has black scale as well. The moon is really not gray. There are parts that are greenish blue. It's not all gray. It's kind of mixed in with gray, green, and blue. But for some reason, NASA decided to do everything in grayscale for the moon, which makes it really hard to look for these domes. And I've tried with the moon, and it's not very easy to do. It's much easier to do with Mars because it's in brown scale, although Mars does have a reddish tint, and also it has variations of greens and blues because there are foliages on Mars. There's little shrubbery, there's small forests, there's bodies of water. It's all on a small scale, but it's there because Mars does have a thin atmosphere. So it is there. But again, NASA chooses to show Mars on its maps in brown scale, which does make it easier to find the domes in the craters, but it's much harder with the moon. I did not have much luck with the moon to do it. This is set 1, where the image is showing the craters without the dome. So this image has not been yet inverted. This is a domed city of a Mars colony near Utopia Planitia, coordinates 54, 59, 29.86 north, 133, 14, 36.71 east. This is set 1 again, where the inverted image has been done, and it's showing the dome system of the Mars colony near Utopia Planitia. This is yet again set 1, but with saturation and hue color decrease, so you can see better the opalescence and refraction of the dome over the crater. Set 2, with empty craters. And I just want to mention that these craters are not calderas, and they're not lava flow mountain covers either. They're not. They're just empty craters, because sometimes you have what looks like a caldera, which can be mistaken for a deep impact site crater. There's a difference. These are not calderas or lava flow mountains that are extinct now. So these are not any of those things. They're just empty craters. So set 2 has a domed city of a Mars colony in the Bonestell crater, and there's also possibly a city in the second crater. The coordinates are 42, 17, 10.23 north, 30, 51, 40.01 west. So this is set 2 again with the inverted image where it's showing the domes over both craters. One is in the Bonestell crater and the second smaller crater, which so far as I could find, I could not find a name for it. This is set 2 again with the hue and saturation decrease in color. So again, you could see the refractory and opalescent dome a little bit better, especially in the Bonestell crater. So you could just see it in a bit more of a contrast without the color. Because you could see it in color, it's the background also shows around the crater. When you decrease the hue and saturation, you could see more of the crater and the background is not so distracting when you're looking at these images. This is set 3 with 2 empty craters. There's domed cities of Mars colonies near the Cygnus Rupus area. Coordinates are 54, 34, 56, 27 north, 105, 14, 30.75 east. This is set 3 where the craters have been inverted and you can see both set of domes of the cities of Mars colonies near the Cygnus Rupus area. This is again set 3 where the hue and saturation has been decreased for the colors, so you can see the domes much better in the craters instead of seeing the background itself so much in the image. Set 4, empty crater, domed city of Mars colony near Pangaea Rupus, coordinates 60, 15, 27.48 north, 123, 30, 8.66 east. So this is set 4 again, where the image has been inverted and you could clearly see the dome over the crater of the Mars colony near Pangaea Rupus. So this is set 4 again, where the hue and saturation of the color has been decreased in the image itself, so you could see better the dome structure over the crater impact site. And this is a pretty big dome that has the Mars colony near Pangaea Rupus. So it's a very large colony inside this dome. This is set 5, which is the secret research lab beside the Mars ICC Base 5 near Cerberus Palus, coordinates 10, 25, 33.12 north, 150, 16, 55.26 east. So the Mars ICC Base 5 is actually near the crater, not within the crater itself, but beside the base there are underground cavern systems where top secret labs are being housed. So it's underground of the base. And it's beside a crater. Now, these are all searchable coordinates of locations from Google Earth. These sets are for Mars, so you would have to go to the Mars maps in Google Earth to find all of these coordinates. So this image is before the inversion process. And it's quite interesting what you'll see in the next image once the inversion has been done. So this is again set 5 with the Mars ICC base 5 and the various underground cavern systems where top secret labs are being housed. And I had actually been, when I was active in the SSP as an SSP asset, I had been on the Mars ICC base 5. That's where I had been stationed. So I remember this space quite well, and it's beside a crater, which has a dome over it as well. So I'm not quite sure what's in that dome, but I know there's also a base beside the crater, and underground there are research labs, which are secret. So this one in particular is very interesting to me because I was actually there in that facility. Not in the research labs themselves, but I was at the Mars ICC base 5. And I never had a peek what was inside the dome in that particular crater. So that's a mystery I'd like to remember, hopefully. I'd like to find out what's inside that dome.